Have you ever run a t-test in GraphPad and got stuck on this option? One-tailed or two-tailed? You click one, the p-value changes. You click the other, it changes again. Which one is the right choice? Making the wrong call here can completely change how your results are interpreted. In this video, I'll explain the difference between one-tailed and two-tailed t-tests, when to use each, and I'll show you directly in GraphPad how the choice affects your analysis. So first, a quick refresher. A t-test is used when you want to compare means between two groups, say treatment versus control, or before versus after an intervention. It basically asks, are these two averages different enough that it's unlikely to be due to chance? Now, what's with the tails? A two-tailed test checks for a difference in either direction. It asks, could the treatment be higher or lower than the control? A one-tailed test checks for a difference in a specific direction. For example, if you are only interested in whether the treatment increases expression, not decreases. Some examples of the use of a one-tailed t-test can be a new drug will lower cholesterol compared to placebo, or if a new training program will reduce 5K run times compared to the old program, or ensure that a pollutant will increase mortality in web animals. So when should you use which? Two-tailed test, this is the default. If you just want to know whether there's any difference, up or down, you choose two-tailed. Most journals and reviewers expect this, because it's more conservative. One-tailed test, only if you had a strong hypothesis before collecting data that the effect goes in one direction. For example, this drug will only increase blood pressure, never decrease it. But if your data show the opposite effect, the one-tailed test won't detect it. That's the risk. When you run a t-test, you'll see the options to pick one-tailed or two-tailed. By default, GraphPad highlights the two-tailed test, and that's usually the safe choice. If you select one-tailed, notice how the p-value changes. It gets smaller, because you're only looking at one side of the distribution. But remember, that doesn't mean your results are stronger. It just means you are making a stronger assumption. The common mistake is deciding after looking at your data to switch to one-tailed test just because it gives you significance. That's p-hacking, and it's not good science. Always decide before you start analyzing. So here's the rule of thumb. Use two-tailed unless you had a very specific directional hypothesis set in advance. Use one-tailed only if you're confident the effect could only go one way. That's it. If this was helpful, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Bioinfo tips for more practical tutorials on stats and software for scientists. See you on the next video!